welcome to a brand new episode of Battle Cry, the only show on television in India that gets you up close with our warriors, their weapons, and how this country is defended. Now remember, there are a lot of things happening in the country that may be occupying your mind, but let's never forget what's happening at the border in Ladakh. It's one of the reasons why India has gone in for a fast flurry of weapons procurements. But there's one weapon procurement that is afoot now that could completely change the game. It's something that India has never operated before. Hunter-killers from the heavens, soaring far up into the sky to unleash precision hell on earth. Not just eyes in the sky, because they're armed to the teeth and capable of seek and destroy. And now, with border tensions peaking, India is all set to open the door to the new world of combat drones on Battle Cry. This was a story broken right here on India Today, and now we're going to get you the freshest details here on Battle Cry. You've heard of the legendary Predator drones. Well, there are more advanced versions which are armed, which now India is looking at very, very closely. India has been looking at combat drones for a while now, but they've proven to be extremely expensive. But now, with all that China has been doing, India has been forced to fast-track its requirement for drones like the Advanced Armed Predator. Here's a full, exclusive report into how the file is moving very, very quickly and how India might very soon contract for its first ever US-built Predator-style combat drones. A historic border mobilization with two countries that remain locked in a standoff for over 100 days and counting. As Battle Cry has shown you in the weeks gone by, China's treacherous hostile actions have forced India down the path of emergency weaponization. From light tanks to fighter jets, from missiles to body armor for soldiers. And now, India stands poised to open a new door to a military capability it has never had before. What you're looking at is the Skyguardian, an updated combat version of the legendary Predator drone. Battle Cry has learned that the Modi government is looking to purchase 6 of these unmanned strike drones as quickly as possible from the United States. First, let's tell you how these drones actually work. Each system comprises the drone aircraft itself and a crucial ground control system. Crews in the ground control station handle all aspects of the drone, controlling it via a satellite link. Capable of flying thousands of kilometers away from the ground control, the drone relays real-time images and targeting information. Apart from gathering data required by the mission ground crew, the drone can also be commanded to engage targets and fire its weapons at them. Flying at a maximum altitude of 40,000 feet and capable of pre-programmed autonomous flight of nearly 2 days, the Skyguardian can deploy Hellfire and Paveway precision strike weapons, which function alongside advanced sensors to pick out and zero in on targets. While modern variants of the legendary Predator surveillance drone have been available to India for some years now, the current conflict has speeded up plans to conclude a deal for at least 6 Skyguardians, with options for more of an unarmed variety called the Sea Guardian. What's clear is that India doesn't just want surveillance drones anymore, but combat drones capable of hunting and destroying targets from the air if necessary. Often just called the Predator in reference to the baseline model, the Skyguardian is a modern version of the Reaper, famous for raining hell on terror targets in Syria, Iraq, and especially in the tribal areas of Pakistan. The Skyguardian being looked at by India will likely come with Hellfire precision-guided munitions, weapons that are already operational on the Indian Air Force's Apache attack helicopters. The Skyguardian is also capable of firing laser-guided bombs on targets from a very high altitude. Acquiring combat-proven US drones would also make up for an imbalance caused by China's own deployment of the Wingloong 2 combat drones at airfields in Tibet and plans to supply those drones to Pakistan and other countries. If the Ladakh standoff has been a wake-up call, and if India has reacted by actioning a flurry of combat purchases, pushing through the long-pending Skyguardian deal would easily be the biggest in terms of value and also the most operationally significant. With Sandeep Unithan in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today. And as always here on Battle Cry, I'm joined by two of India's finest defense journalists, Sandeep Unithan and Gaurav Sawant. Sandeep, you're the journalist that broke the story about how India is speeding towards a decision on buying armed Predator-type combat drones. We do know that at least 6 of these could be contracted very soon. These will be of the Skyguardian armed variety. How soon do you think this could actually happen, Sandeep? And why has the current situation necessitated this urgency?
Well, Shiv, there's always been combat drones, a requirement for combat drones on the horizon. And earlier this year, the United States cleared the purchase of these drones. About 30 of them is what we were looking at. But now, given the circumstances, the situation on the border with China and the fact that the armed forces are looking at a two-front situation, they need platforms, weapon systems like this as soon as they can get their hands on. And the Predator B is seen as a front runner for this, and which is why that requirement has actually been brought down to about half a dozen systems. 6 systems is what we're being told now. And this is being fast-tracked. It's moving at a very incredible pace. A lot of meetings have been held in the Defense Ministry to clear this, to get all stakeholders on board, and to ensure that we get the systems at the earliest shift.
Sandeep, you know, we do know that the Reaper drone, the armed version of the Predator, has been used by the United States in several different areas, Afghanistan, the tribal areas of Pakistan, Syria and Iraq, of course, as well. We saw how, a pair of Predators recently crashed in Syria as well. Do you think that the Predator can be used by India in the same way that the United States uses them?
Well, Shiv, the United States uses the Predator literally across the world, as you mentioned, in practically every combat theater. They're deployed in something like 3 continents at the moment, and they use for a very different requirement. I mean, it's more of taking out terrorists in targeted assassinations, if you can call them that. Our requirements would be very different from the United States. We are looking at employing it more as a military strike weapon, as in the outbreak of hostilities, and of course to carry out precision strikes of the kind that we've had in Uri after the Uri attacks, surgical strikes, which we wouldn't need to send Air Force aircraft in harm's way. That could be another employment of these armed drones, Shiv.
Well, like you heard the journalist who actually broke the story about the Skyguardian deal, it's being processed at a very, very fast pace, and this could something that will emerge as a final contract not very long from now. The current situation is forcing that level of urgency. So we've just shown you how the Predator-style drones will soon be contracted by India from the United States. But how does all of this fit in with Prime Minister Modi's whole Atmanirbharta plan, the whole campaign for self-reliance in the country? Well, the good news is India already has a program in the works. It's called the Rustam to build a long-endurance drone very much like the Predator. In fact, the scientists developing this drone even say that it could beat the Predator. Now, it's not anywhere close to the capabilities of the Predator just yet because it's still being proven and tested, but it does offer India something to look forward to in the future. Here's a look at the Rustam 2 program that seeks to deliver a long-endurance drone that could perhaps become a combat version as well.
So we have told you how India is speeding up plans to acquire advanced Predator-type drones. American-built, hugely capable, and with a huge price tag to boot. You're probably wondering, is there space for Atmanirbharta in this very advanced space? What you're looking at is precisely that. India's attempt to create its own Predator. Don't believe us? Scientists developing the Indian Rustam 2 drone you see here have literally described it as such. In 2014, the Rustam 2 made a grand appearance at the Defence Expo in Delhi. With smooth contours and painted the Indian Air Force's typical grey, the aircraft drew a great amount of attention, since it looked like a real system. But first, let's tell you about the Rustam 2. This long-endurance surveillance drone took to the air for the first time in 2016 and has since conducted a series of test flights, proving out its flying qualities and ability to follow commands from the ground at great distance. 2 years later, in 2018, the Rustam 2 took to the air with higher-powered Russian turboprop engines and was able to begin extended flight tests for the first time. After all, the Rustam 2 is built for long endurance and to carry advanced sensor payloads for its primary function, intelligence gathering and reconnaissance. Last year, in a setback during a test flight, a Rustam 2 prototype lost contact with ground control and crashed in Karnataka. Scientists quickly identified the software and command glitch that had caused the disaster. In January this year, the Rustam 2 program identified this Israeli electro-optical sensor as the primary sensor for the Rustam 2, capable of high-definition surveillance over land and sea, both during day and night. Only weeks ago, the Rustam 2 was back in the air for the first time since last year's crash. This time, proving out its ability to be commanded and controlled via satellite communication rather than line of sight, an indispensable and core requirement for a long endurance drone of this kind. But there's still a long way to go, with the Rustam 2 yet to fully prove its ability to be an autonomous surveillance platform. The three primary missions of the Rustam 2 are surveillance and reconnaissance, damage assessment, and laser designation for strike aircraft already in the sky. And if you're wondering whether there are plans to weaponize the Rustam 2, well, on paper, yes. As confirmed by this official slide from the program team from a decade ago, depicting the Rustam 2 firing a laser-guided weapon. But the actual act of weaponization can only take place once the drone itself is proven beyond all doubt. Claims that the Rustam 2 will match or exceed the Predator's capabilities is a major one and adds huge responsibility on the shoulders of the team developing and testing this aircraft. But who's to say that the Rustam 2 should not be aiming for the stars. The Indian armed forces are waiting. Bureau Report, India Today.
Gaurav, coming to you since you've just come back from Ladakh, and we do know that the current situation has basically, added this urgency in getting these armed drones. The Rustam 2 that we've just spoken about is in the works, but that's not going to mature into a usable program anytime soon. So the Indian Armed Forces very much looking forward, to the Skyguardian drones from the United States. What kind of difference do you think they'll make, and how much are the armed forces looking forward to these, Gaurav?
Tremendously. They're really looking forward to it. So you're absolutely right. Rustam 2 will take some time. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh recently said that he's very confident that, the prototypes, when they come to the actual platform, will do extremely well. We've had a crash some time back, November 2019. But Rustam 2 with its new features, it's a medium range, long endurance drone, so it can loiter around for a long time. But by the time Rustam comes, the threat, the enemy is already at the gates. So you have China that's trying to nibble away at our territory. You have Pakistan that's extremely combative at the line of control, plus sending in terrorists. So the unmanned aerial vehicles, the combat version, one, they take out a high-value target or a high-value facility of the enemy. It could be a bridge where you don't want to risk sending your pilot. It could be any high-value location. It could also be a high-value terrorist, that we may want to take out in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir or in Pakistan. Remember when your Mirages went into Khyber Pakhtunkhwa to destroy a Jaish-e-Mohammed base, you risked lives of 12 pilots. In this case, while you risk your aircraft, you risk your UCAV, you don't risk lives of pilots, you achieve the same results, perhaps even better. So, the Air Force really needs them and needs them now. They will take some time before they, hone their skills on these unmanned combat aerial vehicles. But the sooner they have, the better deterrence effect it will have on the adversary.
And Gaurav, speaking about the Skyguardian, these are considered, the hallmarks of US technology that are used in conflict areas around the world. So this would, in that sense, also be the next step in the Indo-US relationship.
It indeed would be. So far, the United States has been helping you in both your conflict areas with intelligence inputs, with satellite imagery, also with equipment, with your Chinooks and Apaches, your C-17s, your C-130s. All of that is one big plus for your for our security forces. But when you have your unmanned combat aerial vehicles and the kind of capabilities, battle-tested equipment, tested, as you and Sandeep rightly pointed out, Shiv, whether it was in Iraq, or in Afghanistan or in Syria. Yes, there could be casualties like recently, but the fact remains that these are next generation weapons. The technology may just help you to develop your own with knowledge, with experience and with expertise, Shiv.
Very, very interesting door has just been opened, and a contract may be signed very soon for those US drones. Gaurav and Sandeep, thank you as always for being with me here on. Now, apart from the Skyguardian drones that we're going to be getting from the United States and the Rustam drone that India is developing on its own, of course, the Indian Armed Forces already operate a long-endurance, high-performance drone called the Heron. We bought these from Israel many years ago. This is what it looks like, except this particular drone is not armed. And therefore, the Indian Air Force has embarked on something called Project Cheetah, where these very herons are going to be given missiles and bombs to arm them and make them ever more lethal. Take a look. By sheer numbers, it's India's biggest eye in the sky. The Israel-built Heron surveillance drone. The Indian Armed Forces operate nearly 100 of these unmanned reconnaissance planes, deploying them wherever required across the country for surveillance to be a dependable eye in the sky, including in Ladakh amidst border tensions, as revealed by this recent satellite picture. But now, after over a decade of service, the Indian government wants these herons to go to the next level. On Tuesday, the Ministry of Defence cleared a long-pending program to upgrade its Heron drones and weaponize them. India today has learnt that the project, in collaboration with Israel, will see the Heron drones fitted with laser-guided bombs, standoff air-to-ground missiles and anti-tank guided missiles capable of remote precision strike missions. Designated Project Cheetah and said to be worth over 3,000 crore rupees, the Heron arming project will look to give the surveillance drone the ability to carry and fire spice-guided bombs similar to the ones used in the Balakot strikes, and Spike anti-armor missiles. A modified version of an Indian air-to-ground strike weapon is also said to be part of the plan. Flown remotely by ground controllers, armed Herons will be capable of flying hundreds of kilometers away to deploy weapons at targets. The quest to upgrade and arm the Herons has been on the table for years, as hinted, not very subtly, by this 2018 marketing video by Israeli aerospace industries, clearly showing India as the area of operations for this higher performance Heron. Like with several other emergency procurements, the current border tensions with China have forced India to dust Project Cheetah off the shelf and place it on the fast track. While the existing Heron fleet will now be upgraded and armed, India has also been interested for years in acquiring the Iton you see here, a larger and more capable version of the Heron. This recent video is of the first flight of an Iton being supplied by Israel to Germany. The India-Israel project is all set to begin now. The Herons that could once only see will soon have teeth for a fight. With Manjeet Negi in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Well, that's it on Battle Cry. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, as we always say, India's true strength will only have been realized when no human needs to be sent into battle and no weapon fired. Thanks so much for watching. See you next week.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.